Hello guys, today I'm going to show you guys how to draw a couple hugging in anime. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to draw a vertical line that's going to be where they are, and also going to be a guide for me to have or draw the characters in balance so that they don't tilt towards one or the other way. And I'm gonna start with the head of the guy, which is gonna be a little bit higher than the head of the female. And also this head is gonna be, kind of leaning over her. So it's gonna be tilted forward and also a little bit away from the camera to make space for the female's head. So almost like this, and you can see the center of the back of the head. I just really like to make those, lines to indicate where the center of what is. Okay, so now you have this thing, which is gonna be the torso, but since we're looking a little bit from the side of the guy, kind of like towards the female, we can see the back or the center of the back of this guy like this. So I'm trying to draw kind of like a box shape here. You can see almost like a box shape. I don't know what it's called. Just some kind of 3D shape here. You can probably see what it looks like. And then she's you can see that he is kind of leaning, bending himself to kind of lower himself, because the female is going to be shorter than him. That's at least what I've planned, and he's going to be bending so that the girl can kind of reach to curl her arms around his neck. And also, of course, there are many different ways for to hug. So of course this might not be the position that you really want to learn, but I just can't cover them all. But this is just one way that a couple can hug in, and it's that she curls her arm around his neck, and then he has his arm around her back, so kind of like that. Okay, so now I'm just drawing his her head, which is gonna be kind of like looking up, trying to get her chin over his shoulder, but she's kind of not able to do that. But that's completely okay. And I'm just trying to keep the size of the head the same. And I think I'm actually gonna make the head a little bit closer to the shoulder, to left, like this. When you try to draw people hugging or being in close contact, you want to draw them as close as possible. A lot of artists have a tendency to just keep them a little bit more separated. It's not a conscious choice, but they do that because I think that because it becomes really messy when things become so tightly together. But you just have to do that, because in real life, when people hug, it's just very, very close together. But it does become a little bit messy with all these lines, though, all these guidelines after a while. But you just have to get used to it. You can see his butt and the legs. And the arms are in a really strange position. This is a fairly difficult position, I have to say. Most of the time you don't really have to draw such difficult positions, but sometimes you just need to do that. Now he's bent this way, but since she's kind of like reaching, so her back is kind of like bent the other way. So you can see like this. And then his pelvis is around here. So her pelvis is going to be a little bit lower than that, around here. That's pretty good. And then you probably can't see the lines for the legs, but that's okay. And I'm just gonna add in some more details. That's gonna help us draw in the details more proportionally correct when we do that. So I'm just gonna add some more details. So she's kind of like smiling and having her eyes closed. So she's kind of like really enjoying this moment of hugging. And then blushes, but you know that's not important. It shouldn't be that detailed though. And then we got the hair, and then we got the hair for this this girl. I'm gonna give her a ponytail. Now, some of you might really want to draw some different hairstyle, especially if you followed me, because I have a tendency to draw ponytails, but I just think it's a really, you know, a really normal hairstyle that we see, so it's kind of like important for us to learn. But it's also, of course, because I like this kind of hairstyle myself, so yeah, I'm just kind of like drawing it because I like to draw it. But of course you can change the hairstyle if you want. No, it doesn't really matter that much, because now the main focus of the video is the position, but I'm of course gonna complete the whole drawing with no time lapse at all, because now that's kind of the style of my videos, is that I do no time lapse. Some people really want me to do that. Now let us decide the clothes. So we're gonna be like, I'm gonna give her a shirt, a t-shirt like that, and then she's gonna have a skirt. Should she have a skirt? I don't know. And there's one thing I need to change, is that I'm gonna make him a little bit fatter, like this. Actually, I think I'm just gonna, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just gonna give this guy a hoodie. So it's gonna be long sleeves, and then a lot of creases around here, and then this thing, I don't know if it has a name. It's called a cuff. Is it called a cuff? I don't know, but I think it's called a cuff when it's around the wrist, but I don't know if it's what it's called here. Whatever, I'm just gonna draw it around here, and then you can see the hoodie around like this. I, of course, I'm gonna add some more creases. Just looks a little bit plain actually. I don't know why. But just gotta experiment with things. I don't know. Okay, so I'm just gonna give them the same thing for the bottom, which is gonna be a pair of jeans. It's very normal in real life, and if you plan to draw, something in real life, you probably wanna learn, or at least be good at drawing um a pair of jeans. Okay, that's pretty good for the sketch. So I think I'm actually gonna change the clothes. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and change it to a sweater. I think it's a little bit more cozy, especially because he has so much. The sweater kind of matches. So yeah, here we go. Now I know this looks a little bit messy, and there are a lot of lines just throwing around. But soon you will see that this really isn't that messy. And also, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it like that. I don't care about making it, look like a real sweater. But I'm just gonna change the pencil. There's much stronger. Leave a much darker mark, and then I'm just gonna start drawing in the details, and then in the process, I will probably reveal to you guys how she really looks like, because it might look a little bit messy right now. So just pay close attention, or just finish your own drawing while you look at me try to do the inking part. And also you can see that I actually don't have lines here, but that's completely okay for me. I can just make up lines right just on the fly. No shit. When you're doing this process, you really don't want to make some mistakes, especially if you use a even darker pencil than what I'm using right now. I'm using a 4B, but a lot of times you just can't avoid making mistakes, because we are humans, and humans don't make mistakes. Robots make mistakes, but I'm actually a robot, so I make mistakes, and you just have to be careful. And you want to avoid making those double lines, fragmented lines, but I just can't do all lines in one go. So yeah, it's kind of incompetent in this field, but you know you know what? Again, I'm a robot. I'm not perfect. Now we can probably add some eyelashes here to make her look a little bit more anime-like. And then blushies. Nose. You can barely see the nose. I don't know whether you can see it or not. I've been getting into digital art lately, and for me this feels so sketchy. Feels like, but when you're doing hand drawing, it always feels a little bit like that. Unless you have some really professional tools and stuff to do the finishing part. But I don't really have that. And we are just learning to draw. We don't really need to be so good at finishing the drawing right now, because we're just learning to pose, some principles. But yeah, I'm just gonna hurry up a little bit, even because so many parts aren't that detailed anyway. No, what did I do? That was a mistake. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. No, that was a bad one. That was a bad one. And you see, it's just so hard. I can barely erase it. It kinds of leaves a permanent mark. So, but whatever. You know, there are many things I'm gonna erase anyway. Like I should have really erased all of those guidelines before I did this part. But you know what? We're not gonna waste our time. Look at this, 17 minutes already. You can probably use this time to do another drawing. I don't know if you want. But you can probably learn one thing or two from me doing this part, is how I hold my hand, how I, normally I try to rotate it around because, I want to keep the curve great, matching my hand movement, so that I can be more comfortably hitting the lines that I've kind of like planned where I should hit. But now I'm kind of like recording a video, so I try to refrain from that. But you're not making a video, so make sure to do that. So maybe I can just show you guys, like for example turning around here to do this line. But that didn't really help that much, but this line might help. It might help to turn this around to do these two lines, and then turn around again to make these lines. By the way, these looks a little bit out of place. I haven't really paid attention to how this back pocket should be, or where it should be, but I think this is alright. Just gonna make just one more crease here, and just some kind of bumps in there to make it a little bit more realistic, or like clothing. So that's pretty good. And what else I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna make the head a little bit more kind of in place. I feel like it's kind of out of place. I don't know why. I think it's a little bit too large. So I'm just gonna reduce its size. And then I'm gonna add some lines actually. These lines are kind of, showing us where some parts of the hair is. This is not really a necessary part, it depends on the style. Now lately I've been getting into digital art, and in digital art they always have those, really fancy shading and stuff, and it helps to have these lines. But when you're doing traditional art, it's a little bit different, because you really don't have those fancy shading, which is what I'm gonna do right now. Or no, let me just finish this part. I think I'm going to erase this part. It's a little bit out of place. So you can see that I'm trying to get all the lines to point towards, this point. That's kind of how this hairstyle works. So it has this point, and then all the fringe hairs coming from that point. It also exists in real life, but I don't see that quite often. But it's anime, so that's alright. And I'm gonna start doing shading actually. Actually, you can still see a lot of lines that really shouldn't be there. A lot of lines that should be there that isn't there. But that's completely alright. No, whatever. We're not gonna waste our time. 21 minutes, so let's get started. So there are so many ways in which we can do shading, and I'm actually gonna first I'm gonna shade around the fringe, some shade under on the forehead like this, and then I'm gonna make these kind of like hair strands inside of the hair. These are just some shades that you see a lot in anime. And then you have the top coming down to top shadows or shades. A dark shade that is just exactly the same, coming down from the point where I talked about was the root, because these lines kind of indicate where the lines, or no yeah, where how the hair grows, like which direction they go. I can't talk today. I don't know why. And just shadow around there, shadow inside of the ear. Doesn't really mandatory place to place shadows. This is empty space. And I'm just gonna have one more. You can see that there's kind of like a line of lightning there, and that's kind of what I'm planning. So you can to make sure that it has this line, because that's just kind of show that the hair is shiny, I guess. No, this is getting complicated. I'm starting to regret it a little bit, because it's so time consuming to do this part. But I've started it, so there's no way I can regret on doing this now. But basically, you just do the same thing. You just do the same thing, having all those strands downwards, and then you have this part which is the same. So you can see another line of this kind of, and on here you probably don't need that. So I'm just gonna give this whole place a shade, because it's time consuming. It's way too time consuming. And then these lines that we've made, I'm just gonna add some shadows around it. Take some practice to make these shadows being really realistic. And this is one of the things that I suck at the most. And so I'm just trying to do that in every single drawing that I do. But a lot of times I'm just so lazy that I just don't complete my drawings. I rarely really do complete my drawings. As you can see here, I still keep all those guidelines because I'm too lazy to erase them. But I do believe it is kind of like a strategy to learn, because you can draw more, like quantity over quality, in order to learn. And when you want to produce, you produce quality of the over quantity. But that's just my philosophy. You can see the light on the neck, and then I'm just gonna add shadows just around all of these creases on the places where it's being blocked. So when you're adding shadow, you want to pay attention to something like especially there are two kinds of shadows. You probably heard this in art classes if you have had any, but basically there is the shadow that is being cast by other objects. I'm not sure what it's called in English. Cast shadows? No, I don't know. And then there's the other type of shadow that is being cast on the object itself. I also don't know what it's called in English because I didn't have my school in English. I don't come from an English speaking country, so my art classes uses terms in Norwegian, and you probably don't need to learn what it's called in Norwegian. See, I'm kind of lazy, so some shadow is kind of out of place, but that's probably okay. And also, of course, I'm going for the gradient style or the paint bucket style. No, it's called, I don't know what it's called, but basically I'm just giving the whole shade a darker shade instead of lines or whatever you're trying to do, because a lot of people also do the lines instead of these kind of shadows to make shadows. Okay, so I'm just trying kind of like hasting to complete the whole drawing right now, because I really don't want to waste more time. So I'm just gonna give this whole space kind of like shade. I'm doing it so quick that you probably don't like how this looks like. It looks really artificial with all these lines, but that's probably okay. I do think it doesn't. I do think it looks a little bit artistic to have these lines, but this is something that you generally want to avoid. You want to be more in control with your lines, but whatever. And then for these two clothes, you can probably give this a little bit of shade, not that much. And I'm gonna leave the shirt for the girl to be white, because it doesn't need to be completely white, but just very light, whatever. But I think that's it. So we're done actually. Of course, it's not really a complete drawing, but you can see where it's going, and if it's just a matter of how much time we spend on finishing this image. But I don't really have any coloring pencil, so if we have or had colors, it will be much more complicated and also much longer. but you know, it's just black and white and it's pretty good. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys learned something new. If you have any question, leave it in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share this video and do whatever you can to promote my channel. Okay, you don't really need to do that, but just subscribe to my channel so you can see more of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.